Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the all-new Toyota Land Cruiser. Yes, it is finally back in the US market. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into all the details. So we're going to start things off by going over the official specs on the new Land Cruiser, and then we'll dive into my personal opinion on this as a big Toyota enthusiast and as an off-road enthusiast as well. So to start things off with just the facts, this new Land Cruiser is going to be a body-on-frame off-road capable SUV just like what the Land Cruiser has always been, but it's going to be smaller than the outgoing version. It's going to be 4.4 inches narrower, and it's going to be about 1.2 inches shorter, and Toyota states this is happening because they want the Land Cruiser to be more off-road capable, so making a smaller vehicle is going to help out with that. Now, despite the fact that the new Land Cruiser is going to be slightly smaller, it's still going to hold true to the Land Cruiser's iconic styling, so it's going to have that kind of like bigger, boxier off-road SUV appearance that we all know and love. But it's also going to become more refined. So in the back end, they're using coil suspension with a multi-link setup that's supposed to improve ride quality and handling. Again, we've seen a similar setup on the new Tundra and Sequoia, for example. And then when it comes to the front end, it's going to have twin tube shocks and double wishbone suspension. That's also supposed to help out with ride quality and handling. Obviously, I'll be able to see that once I'm able to drive one in real life. But they're trying to not only make it more off-road capable, but make it just more comfortable overall. And this leads us into the powertrain side of things for the new Land Cruiser. So the Land Cruiser is going to get the exact same powertrain that is in the new Toyota Tacoma. So it's a turbocharged 2.4 liter 4-cylinder paired to a hybrid system and an 8-speed automatic transmission. The battery size with this hybrid powertrain is a 1.87 kilowatt hour battery pack. Power outputs are 326 horsepower and then 465 pound-feet of torque. So that makes this new Land Cruiser slightly less powerful than the new Lexus GX 550 that has the V6. And we'll kind of talk about that more a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, there is no more V8 in the Land Cruiser. There's not even a V6. We have a turbocharged 4-cylinder here in the new Land Cruiser. Now, on top of that, they're also adding some off-road tech with this new powertrain. So we are still going to have a center locking differential. We're going to have an advanced 4-wheel drive system, limited slip differential as well. And then there's also going to be vehicle stability control, which, I mean, cars have had that for such a long time, so it's not super new, but it's still going to have like all of that stuff that, you know, Toyota's had in their cars for quite some time, but it's going to have Toyota's more, you know, advanced systems that they've recently released. So it should make it so the Land Cruiser is better in off-road circumstances. Again, we'll have to see once I'm able to actually test the vehicle. Well, speaking of off-road testing and all of that, this leads us into some of the off-road specs with the new Land Cruiser. So we've got an approach angle of 31 degrees, which is really respectable. 22 degree with the departure angle, and then breakover angle is 25 degrees. Ground clearance is 8.7 inches. Kind of talk about that a little bit later. Skid plate protection underneath. There's going to be off-road recovery points. They emphasize that because obviously the Sequoia TRD Pro and the Tundra TRD Pro do not have off-road recovery points. So yeah, they definitely put that on the Land Cruiser. Also, it's going to have multi-terrain select. It's going to have Toyota's larger infotainment system with gauge cluster. And there's a whole section here with this whole pamphlet that Toyota sent out on the infotainment system. All you guys need to know is the gauge cluster infotainment system setup is going to be pretty much the same as what we see in the new Tundra and in the new Sequoia. I personally like this system. I love the camera system. I think the resolution is really good. I think the system's easy to use. And so I'm glad that the Land Cruiser is also getting this. Now, that also means it's going to have, you know, the 14-speaker JBL audio sound system. You can get heads-up display, moonroof. Like, there's just lots of features added to it. Also, going to be a 2024 model year for those of you that are wondering. Now, they state that there's going to be 7 exterior colors: ice cap, windshield pearl, underground, which underground, that's interesting. I wonder if that's like a brown or something. Black, meteor shower, trail dust. That's also probably another brown. And then heritage blue. Two-tone will be with trail dust, and then heritage blue with a grayscape roof. That'll look interesting. So there's 3 different packages on the Land Cruiser. There is the Land Cruiser 1958, the Land Cruiser, and then the Land Cruiser First Edition. It looks like the 1958 is your entry level. Land Cruiser is just, you know, the package most people get. And you can also get a premium package with the Land Cruiser. And then the first edition is going to be a limited edition package that just comes with all of the options. I was quickly reading through the spec list on these Land Cruiser packages, and I did notice something very important. So the 1958 version comes with tires that are 245/70/18, so that looks like more of a street setup, whereas on the regular Land Cruiser, again, the middle package, it says you have 265/70/18s as standard, but you can get 265/60/20s as optional, so you can like upgrade to a street tire on the Land Cruiser. And then if you get the special edition 265/70/18, so an off-road setup, so the two higher packages come standard with an off-road setup. And then looking at the rest of the equipment, they all have off-road tech, but the first edition comes with quite a bit more off-road tech. So roof rack, rock rails, skid plate protection, you've got LED headlamps, you also have fog lamps as well, which it looks like, mud flaps, and it comes with other upgrades like heated and ventilated seats, all of that. But it looks like most of the off-road kit that you'd actually want for like really capable off-roading is with the Land Cruiser package. So again, the middle package. Front stabilizer, bar disconnect, that's really cool. So Land Cruiser finally now has that, just like the new Ford Bronco. The rigid fog lights, again, the all-terrain tires, multi-terrain select. So yeah, basically, if you just want an on-road Land Cruiser, the 1958 edition is going to be like that. If you want your off-road Land Cruiser, that's going to be the Land Cruiser package. And then the first edition is getting that Land Cruiser package, again, special edition, with just all the stuff added to it. So that's kind of the split right there. But again, you can make the Land Cruiser less off-road capable by putting the 20-inch wheels on it, which I find pretty interesting. Also going to come with a bunch of Toyota's modern safety tech, so like their lane departure, cruise control, all of that. Not going to dive into that too much there. And then the warranty is going to be pretty normal, so 3-year, 36,000 mile on the basic warranty. Powertrain, 60,000 miles. There's also some extra stuff on the hybrid components, 8 years, 100,000 miles. It looks like hybrid batteries covered for 10 years and 150,000 miles. That's so pretty interesting with the warranty stuff overall. And then finally, the last thing that we need to go over before we dive into my personal take on this new Land Cruiser is pricing. This is going to start somewhere in the mid $50,000 range. My guess is that that special edition is probably going to be closer to $70,000 after all options. So yes, this new Land Cruiser is smaller and has a smaller powertrain compared to the outgoing model, but it's also a heck of a lot less expensive. The last Land Cruiser was like an $80,000+ vehicle, so completely different bracket. And I mean, I think the best way to look at this new Land Cruiser is it's basically just a class above the 4Runner, because it's going to start somewhere around where the 4Runner will probably be fully loaded with a TRD Pro. I mean, the current TRD Pro is like a $55,000, $56,000 MSRP vehicle. But when it comes to my personal take, I think they killed it with the styling. I think it's really cool looking on the outside, and I think they did a good job on the interior as well. I hope it doesn't have some of the loose parts that are in the Tundra and Sequoia, but I think that probably won't be the case, because this is built in the Japanese factory, and so build quality and all that will probably be a bit better. But that's diving a little bit too much into the weeds. I think that is all good. I think the tech's good. There's only a few things that I'm kind of a little bit amiss about. So first is the ground clearance, 8.7 inches. I just don't understand why Toyota is giving their modern off-roaders so little ground clearance. The Sequoia TRD Pro is another good example. It has barely over 9 inches of ground clearance. Everything in today's world that is an off-roader has well over 10 inches of ground clearance in today's world, so I just don't understand why they're sticking at that range. I mean, 8.7 inches of ground clearance, that was great for the Land Cruiser back in like 1980, but in 2023, I mean, the Ford Bronco Sasquatch is over 11 inches of ground clearance, a Ford Raptor F-150 is over 13 inches of ground clearance, Wranglers are 12, 13 inches of ground clearance, and so like, I understand that most people won't actually take the Land Cruiser off-road, but it would be cool if they actually gave it a little bit more off-road cred, because now if people actually want to like do some serious off-roading with the Land Cruiser, I mean, 8.7 inches just isn't enough. Unless you are okay with constantly bashing against the skid plate, people are going to have to lift these Land Cruisers, just like what they're having to do with the Sequoia. And then the other thing is, I don't understand why they're only offering the 4-cylinder, because from the specs, it looks like the Land Cruiser is the same exact vehicle as the new Lexus GX. And so the Lexus GX obviously having the V6 means that they could put it in the Land Cruiser, but from the notes here, it looks like this is the only powertrain that they have planned for the Land Cruiser, and it says that they're going to release a hybrid powertrain later on for the Lexus GX, and my guess is the hybrid powertrain is going to be this 2.4. So I think that's kind of another issue. And also the Lexus GX, by the way, has over 10 inches of ground clearance. So also explain that, like, why does the Lexus have more ground clearance than the Toyota? definitely confused about that whole situation. So let me know your thoughts on those two items. Overall, I'm actually really excited for the new Land Cruiser. I think that a lot more people are going to actually buy this new Land Cruiser compared to the previous generation, just because of the pricing with it. It's a lot more affordable, and it seems like there's just been a lot of hype behind Toyota SUVs in general because, again, they've just been doing a really good job. So yeah, just let me know your overall thoughts, and let me know after seeing the specs on this new Land Cruiser if you're Team Land Cruiser or if you're Team Lexus GX. I'll see you.